Welcome to this session of Connecting with Our Destinations, where we're learning about what's going on in destinations across the United States. I'm Lisa Simon with the International Inbound Travel Association, and we're here today with Butch Spyridon, President and CEO of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. Thanks, Butch, for taking the time to talk to us today. It has been way too long, and it's so good to see you. And I hope to see you in Nashville, one of my favorite cities, very, very soon.
We have capacity for you to come visit. It's great to see you. It has been too long, and thanks for including Nashville in this conversation.
You bet. Well, it's an important city. You know, obviously the U.S. is a huge draw for travel and tourism and business and leisure, and Nashville is a big part of that. You know, with the Music City, it has been a huge inbound attraction for particularly for Nashville and Tennessee, but all of the South. So I'm sure that we're going to get some good insight into how people can get back into your city.
We're ready. We had an incredible, literally 9-year run of double-digit growth, and ironically, or maybe not fortuitously, it was led by international. Our international growth was the fastest growing segment.
Fantastic.
And we miss those friends. We want to get them back.
Well, so let's turn our attention briefly to the virus. How impacted has Nashville been, and kind of what's the situation right now?
So economically, we've taken the biggest toll in the state. We're down right at $4 billion in spending. The music industry and the hospitality industry together have taken the biggest hit in the city. And, you know, we're resilient. We've been creative. We've seen pockets of hope in June. And then prior to this latest spike, we were really seeing a steady week over week over week uptick. Last week and the week before were the two best weeks since March. So beginning to feel optimistic, knowing we're not out of the woods. I feel like we've weathered the storm pretty well, but it's just damn hard, and we know we're not done.
Yeah, so I know everybody's reopening plans have, you know, gone back and forth, but how does your reopening plan work, and how are you communicating that to the trade?
You know, try to communicate every means possible. Certainly our website, our newsletters, webinars, client calls. We're in phase 3 right now as a city. It doesn't feel like there is an appetite to go back to phase 2 or to shut down. I think everybody knows the angst is too high, and the fragility of our businesses is also way too high. So staying open is important. Masks aren't going to go anywhere in Nashville. They've been a mandate since early August, and I don't see that changing until there's a vaccine. Cases have climbed over the last couple of weeks more than we would have liked. We've kind of led the state in terms of guidelines and, you know, adherence to those protocols. The surrounding counties have joined us in the mask mandate as of last week. They came on board. They had been on board, then they were quick to drop it all and just go for the gusto, while we have been a little more cautious. But we can have groups up to 500 based on no more than 30% capacity in a meeting room. Our attractions are all open. We can do tours of up to 25 people at one time. They're socially distanced, of course, but we're open and we're trying to do business, and we're just trying to do it smart and safe so that we can keep doing it. But I've seen a few tour buses around, not enough. Been talking to British Air a lot. We think they will start flying to Nashville when they start flying to the US again, but that's a moving target in terms of when that starts as well. So a lot of unknowns. Overall, I give us a B, maybe a B minus. But I feel good about our prospects to reopen and rebound.
So I hadn't heard that you could have groups up to 500. That's remarkable. So what does that say for meetings and conventions business? Are you starting to see that coming back or booking anyway?
You know, it's a combination of a few small ones are coming back. We lost most of the big ones through March. But what it's given us an opportunity to do is talk to some of the groups for the spring and convince them to not cancel, that we think there is a path. If they're willing to comply with the regulations. And the biggest worry with our health department is stand-up receptions with alcohol. If we can minimize or eliminate those, we think there's a path for dinners, for trade shows, for seminars, for conferences. We think we can do it all. But that reception piece scares the health department. And I get it. I don't think all receptions are created equally. So I think it's a case-by-case thing. But we literally injected ourselves in the conversation with the health department and the mayor's office back in March, and we haven't let go. So we just knew the hospitality industry was going to need more advocacy, more help, and maybe even more explaining, because an event venue is different from a hotel, it's different from a bar, it's different from a restaurant, it's different from an outdoor event. So in the beginning, they tried to make everything be treated alike. And we've broken down that barrier to a large degree, you know, and it's a battle every day. And so I appreciate that they have let us in and listened to us, but we're not where we want to be or need to be going forward.
Well, what do you think about international travel? I know that's a moving target, certainly, until there's a vaccine, but 2021, any feelings about what that's going to look like?
You know, I'll give a sidebar commercial. I'm the current chair of Destinations International, so my peer group. And we have made international a very high priority this year. So we're reaching out to have a more formal relationship with Canada. Like Canadian cities are members, but Canada hasn't been engaged. We're doing the same thing with Mexico. We specifically made sure that we had Canadian, European, and Mexican representation on the board. So we're trying to get the dialogue going and the communication right. For us, we think the Canadian market will come back when the borders open. We're not as concerned about that. We're putting a lot of emphasis in the UK, staying in front of our clients, keeping Nashville top of mind with PR or music virtual events. And I guess by nature, I'm pretty optimistic, but I think give us the vaccine and stand back and watch. So that's the trigger. That's going to give people the confidence that we can start to try some things, and kind of understanding or coming to grips with COVID, the virus is going to be around for most of 21. So doing a better job of learning to live with it, getting more comfortable with masks, accepting that a vaccine, when it is fully tested, fully approved, and fully available, which I have no clue when that is, but knowing that once we've gone through all of that, that we got a shot, I like our chances, both for Nashville and for the U.S.
Yeah, that's great. And I having known you for quite some time, I would agree you're an optimist, and you're usually right. So we'll follow that lead.
I've scared many of our members and constituents, but we haven't stopped selling. I think it's an important message that as I watched a lot of DMOs be concerned, and rightfully so, over finances, over business, over whatever. And most just hunkered down, furloughed people, kept their powder dry. We didn't furlough anybody until July, and that was really focused on our visitor center because it was closed when we did it. But we've kept selling, we've kept our messages out there, we've kept talking to our clients, and we didn't lay any sales and marketing staff off. So yeah, we did it different. That remarkable new word that nobody heard of, pivot. We've pivoted so many times, we're dizzy, but we haven't stopped. And so I feel like that should give us a bit of an advantage, as a lot of cities are going to have to either bring people back slowly or hire new people. There's just going to be a ramp up curve that we're not going to have. And that was intentional. It was risky. And I don't mind saying in June, I got a little scared. Had I made a bad decision? But then when we got through July and August, and I kind of looked up, I was like, nope, we were right. It was a good call. Our cash flow is reasonable. Our reserve cash is held. And we have a line of credit, and we borrowed some money from our convention center. So we have a backstop on top of our reserve, and we're ready. So those that are more ready to respond quick are going to do better.
So speaking of those operators, since many of them have not seen, any business coming in this year, since they do mostly inbound travel, any words of wisdom that you have for them and or their travel partners in, countries around the world?
I would definitely say we're all in this together, and the true partnerships are going to survive and I believe prosper. So maybe both of us being empathetic to each other's positions and kind of collaborating to figure out the best way to make it a win-win. Like, we've had hotels that have done very well for those 9 years that I referred to. We've had almost 5,000. There were 5,000 rooms under construction when COVID hit. About 3,000 of them have opened, and another 2 are coming. So our supply has grown and our rates have dropped. So some would like to be aggressive, but I think we're going to be more attractive on the rate front. And I think there's going to be a more willingness to accept more tour and travel groups instead of holding out for the corporate and leisure market, leisure being independent.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to partner. But understand the boat we're in, which is not dissimilar, and let's figure it out together. Because those partners that we've been able to rebook or reach out to and figure out what do you need and what do we need, and finding a way to make it work, it has already paid off. So communication is going to be key. Realistic expectations. I think we'll see a quick bump in business, but not to any, extremely profitable levels. I think that's going to take a little more work. So let me add patience into this recovery scenario. But I do think it's in several stages, and I think together we get there a lot quicker.
Yeah. Wise words. Thank you. We appreciate your time and your leadership for many years, and particularly serving Destinations International right now. That's really good to see the expansion there, and with this pandemic, that may be something that comes out of it for, like you said, more and more people to come together, work together, and realize we're all figuring it out as we go.
Without being too political, okay, we've had a nice several year divisive run. Let's put that behind us. As a world, we need to be together. I'm a big believer that travel breaks down those walls. I love quoting Mark Twain, where travel is fatal, I think I'll get it right, to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. I think travel is the key to a better world, and it's also a key to a more prosperous world. So I'm all in, and I appreciate what y'all are doing.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. Thanks, Butch. Thanks, everyone. You have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks.